The Oedipus complex, a concept many of you are familiar with, though hopefully not through personal experience. Sigmund Freud coined this phenomenon and went on to build the field of psychoanalysis from it, change our perception of psychology and the human mind through it. While I myself am not a psychologist, I've done a great deal of research into the subject, and I'm here to pass this knowledge on to you. Psychoanalysis has allowed us to understand where our most basic urges are derived from, how our experience through life drives them, provides the motivation for nearly every action you take, as well as help us understand our fellow man and in turn their motivations. While Freud's contributions are substantial, we'll be focusing on the Oedipus complex and its specific contribution. The founding principles are centered around the unconscious desire of a child for their opposite sex parent, in addition to the conflict and eventual resolution of the same sex parent. So this famous example, comes from the horse's mouth itself, no pun intended. The case of little Hans, or Horse Boy, as they called it. Hans Graf, at 4 years old, saw a horse carrying a heavily loaded cart collapse in the street, and he developed this fear or phobia of horses as a result. His father, Max Graf, was a good friend of Freud and started talking with him and describing details of this case, the issues he was having with this child. The main one being his son's sudden obsession with male genitals and this recurring dream he had of two giraffes. Freud attributed the collapsed horse and subsequent view of its genitals, which got scarred into Hans's mind, to an instilled or projected kind of fear where he saw the horse as his father, which brings us right back to that Oedipus complex where the child is fighting for the affection of his father, for his mother. The dream was interpreted the same way of his father and mother and his desire to take the mother away from him for himself. Eventually he grew out of it, as the Oedipus complex states, and he returned and saw Freud at 19 years old, where he was noted to be a healthy young man and mentally fit. Our second example encompasses a more modern study by Tomas Brzezicki in the Royal Proceedings of Society B. In this study, photos of a man's wife and his mother were compared, and the facial features were analyzed. Jaw length, mouth size, stuff beyond hair color and eye color. The results showed shockingly large correlation and similarities. The jaw length, for example, is 92.8% matched. This once again brought us back to the Oedipus complex and its subconscious hold on our desires. It's still holding up to this day. In my speech, we covered, just two well-documented cases and conclusive studies regarding the Oedipus complex. This is a valuable reminder of Freud's contributions. His groundbreaking theories, they still hold up today, in modern times. With this, I leave you with the famous words of Freud: being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. Maybe not too honest, huh?